This was the first time I saw my dad in a different light altogether. I've always loved my dad. He was a good influence. He was a good father. Very good father. Always showed me those things that I just talked about. But now being a father and being a businessman on a constant growth and being a husband, I see how those virtues are greater than anything I could ask for. If it was not for that, I would not be in this place. For love, respect, and patience. Welcome to another episode of Mindset Mastery. I am your host, Araujo. And, today's subject is very simple and a revelation I had over, Father's Day, which was yesterday, about influence and appreciation. Growing up, my mom was always the go-getter. My mom always just wanted more. And she always expected my dad to do the same, right? To have the same ambitions as she did, to have the same type of drive that she did. And so there was a lot of arguments oftentimes, and even to this day, about how or what he is not doing, right? Because she is the go-getter. She is the one that wants more for the family and wants to continue to grow in all aspects of her life, especially in the business side of it, right? As they're getting older, they're finding new ways to make money in this technology-driven world. And, I'm very proud of my mom. Very proud of what she's accomplished over the years. Very proud of what she's built. Of course, she's had her fair share of obstacles, her fair share of disappointments. But I just remember growing up, oftentimes just hearing that, going one way about how my dad is not doing enough in certain aspects of life. My dad was a little bit more reserved. My dad was always the person that just wanted more stability, right, than anything. He didn't come from that ambitious side that I think most of us are in right now, right? If we're in this game right now, it's because we're ambitious. If we made the decision to get into owning your business and being an entrepreneur, being a realtor, is because you have some ambition, more than most people. And that wasn't my dad. I mean, he just wanted stability. He wanted to know that there was always going to be a paycheck, right? And we've talked about this before. I think our number one responsibility is to create an environment of a safety for our children, an environment of stability. So I think that's what really drove my dad, right? He always felt a sense of accomplishment, knowing that he can pay the rent, and later when they became homeowners, knowing that he can pay the mortgage. And, I still remember to this day the first time that we actually bought our first home and how accomplished he felt, and for my mom, it was more like it's about time type of thing, right? And through my mom's efforts, they were able to purchase multiple properties over the years. But I still remember my dad just feeling that, feeling accomplished, or at least it did. I viewed it as that based on his face and the way he reacted when we were able to walk the home and we had our own room. And it was a beautiful thing. And, over the years, I don't think I really appreciated that aspect of my dad, right? The aspect of showing just unconditional love, showing appreciation, right? Love, respect, I just never, and patience, like that was his main thing. He was always just patient. He was never the disciplinary person. And I never saw that in him, right? I was always more of the, why isn't my dad more ambitious? Why isn't my dad more goal-oriented? And he's always playing it safe. He always just was a patient man. And I never really saw him lose his cool. My mom, yeah, she's more of a reaction type of person like I am, right? And she's very vocal about certain things. She's very vocal about disappointments. And so I always kind of, sided with my mom in certain things and even kind of blamed him for not taking more of the leadership role. And, years later, and especially yesterday, as I went to go visit him, right, I was just looking at him, and I was just overwhelmed with this sense of appreciation for who he truly is. He taught me traits that are vital to my growth in all aspects of my life, not knowing that he had this huge influence on me for reasons I didn't even realize. I only based my reasoning based on his ambitions and his drive and his, and the things he lacked. But yesterday, I just sat there and I was like, he taught me the traits that are making me a very powerful person, a powerful businessman, a powerful father and a husband, a driven individual that can show patience, right? And it hit me like a ton of bricks. Here's a man that showed me how to love, respect, right? How to love and respect and appreciate. And most importantly, how to be patient. And as I'm raising two daughters, I realize that, patience is a huge virtue to development of a business, to development of the next generation, to development in all aspects of your life. And oftentimes we're so quick about going after what we want and disappointed for the things we don't have that we don't really sit back and say, man, this patience thing is really helping me build characters, really helping me build capacity. This was the first time I saw my dad in a different light altogether. I've always loved my dad. He was a good influence. He was a good father. Very good father. Always showed me those things that I just talked about. But now being a father and being a businessman on a constant growth and being a husband, I see how those virtues are greater than anything I could ask for. If it was not for that, I would not be in this place. For love, respect, and patience. And I think oftentimes we forget what we truly, like the core of what we want, because we're so busy comparing ourselves to others and what they have. And influence and appreciation go hand in hand. We're being influenced the way we show up today, the way we show up in life, the way we treat our family, the way we run our business is because it came from someone or something that influenced us to the results we have today. And we got to be able to take a step back and look at the entire picture of where are we just heavily weighted on one side. For a long time, I was just heavily weighted on goals and ambitions and drive and trying to succeed. And I forgot all about the other elements. About how patience is a virtue. About how love and respect of others will get me exactly what I want. And it was no wonder I often felt burnt out. Because I was only being driven by one side of it. And that was fueled by the comparison. Well, this person has this, then I need to work harder to go get that. And leading some of the greatest characteristics we have as humans by the wayside. The way I treated my family, the way I disconnected from my daughters. And we will never truly get to what you want until we start realizing the things that really make life worth living. And refocusing on the path as opposed to the result, I think is essential. Where you're at right now is supposed to be this way. If you're struggling with your business, you're supposed to be here. You're not supposed to resent it. You're supposed to build from it. What are the lessons? And as we start taking a step back from the day-to-day and start saying, well, this is where I want to be and I'm here, I feel this small. simply looking back of where we were 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, and realizing there's characteristics to our character that makes this game worth showing up to on a daily basis. You start building the other aspects of your life, I promise you, your business will benefit from it. If you show nothing but love and respect towards your own family, as opposed to frustration and the worst of you because of you had a bad day because a deal fell through and you shut down, I promise you, if your approach is different, your results will be different as well. And I understand the stresses we all have to deal with. But we can't bring this to the people that essentially fuel us to get up and do it over and over and over again. We give our best to their business and the worst to our family, where we lack the love, the respect, and the appreciation, and the patience. Patience. I remember the first time I was given that compliment. AZ, you're a very patient man. I was almost floored by that comment. That didn't go hand in hand with how I approached life. At least not for many years. I became a patient man because I started appreciating who I was. And I think that starts with you today as well. You can't have love, respect, and patience if you don't appreciate where you're at right now. Oftentimes we can't find appreciation because there's a constant comparison to others and where we think we should be. We see the top 10, we see the top 20, and we're like, how can I get there? It's years in the making. Years of mistakes and course correcting. That's how you get there. The small steps. The steps that sometimes feel meaningless. My dad was showing me those small steps for years. And it's become now the foundation that I pride myself on. Love, respect, and patience. I can get all things with that. And I could also destroy all things without that. Your success relies on the foundation of how you handle yourself. And understand that we're being influenced right now. That's always attacking those core characteristics. And some are complementing them. Our job is to identify those that are attacking that, whether through the friends that we associate ourselves with, that don't have the same values as you do, the same work ethic, and start really inviting those that do. But influence is all around us. This weekend, we got to spend some time with the Lunas. And there was a lot of appreciation there, and I'll tell you why. Because of the love and the respect and the patience they showed each other. Much like Carla and I do on a consistent basis. And I also knew them during the times that things weren't always so good. Just like they were part of our lives when our marriage wasn't so good. And guess what? The influence back then that I had on Reuben and vice versa wasn't the greatest. It was about drive. It was about ambition. It was about money. And we both suffered a lot of consequences within our marriage because of that. It was influence that changed the dynamic of our families. It's influence that's changing the dynamic of your life. I want you to think about where you were 6 months ago. where you were a year ago before you even joined AZ and Associates. Because that's where you're going to get the fuel to keep going. Not comparing where you think you should be. That's going to destroy your momentum. If you don't have what you want, I promise you, you're closer today than you were 6 months ago. And that's called growth. Give it some time. But I want you to lay a foundation here of what it means to really keep that fire going. And you got to show the love. More importantly, you got to show love to yourself. Because if you're constantly beating yourself up for not getting the results you want, there is no way growth will occur from there. And I'm able to find that appreciation in my dad because I see it in myself now. I couldn't appreciate that back then because I didn't have it. Not realizing that was the greatest influence he ever had on me. And I see all these great posts about how dads influenced, the people posting and how appreciative they are. And it's great. Just seeing the influence of these fathers, right? But what if we were to treat everyone that we appreciate like that every single day? What do you think that's going to do for you? When you're able to do that, it's because you have appreciation for yourself and the path you're on. This is what the game is all about. Where you're at right now doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. So we have to appreciate the process. And we can't give the very worst of ourselves to those that matter the best to us, right? The most, I'm sorry. To those that matter the most. It's amazing the lessons we can find. And realizing that influence is all around us. We have this new puppy. His name is Chaco. Chaco. Really cool. He's a chocolate labradoodle. And I see the influence my other dog, Boy, has on him. And it's amazing. Like, he's collapsing the time he's learning to do certain things. We have him crate trained, right? Where we have to put him in a crate. And when we let him out, there was one thing that Boy always does. He gets really happy, right? He greets me. He gets really happy about being out and makes sure that he's greeting me and sometimes jumping on me and doing certain things. And I remember the first time that I let Chaco out, he didn't know what to do. I opened the crate and he just walks out. The funniest thing happened. I saw him observe Boy. And he's watching him. And he's watching Boy just being very happy, wagging his tail and just kind of getting all this energy. And then slowly he comes to me and starts doing somewhat the same thing. Later on, I do the same thing, and guess what happens? Influence. He starts doing the same exact thing as Boy. And at the same time, he's doing things that I was hoping he wouldn't catch on to, but Boy has some bad habits. Some of which is eating bark off of Carla's garden, right? There's a bunch of like wood chips and just like the soil that he just chews on. Guess what the little one's doing? Influence. But I also have to appreciate how fast he's learning. And that's the impact we all have. So today, I want you to think about a couple things. I want you to first and foremost start showing more appreciation towards yourself. Because things outside of that will never improve if there's not that appreciation, first and foremost, about yourself. Second thing I want you to do is appreciate those around you. Actually let them know, not just wait until it's Father's Day or Mother's Day or this day or that day, but actually just let them know how much you appreciate them. Because I know my dad needed to hear that from me. He's a real sensitive guy. And I love him for that. He has a big heart. And that was a part of myself that I was missing. And maybe we need to show more of that ourselves. Because when we have a big heart, we can create big things. So appreciate yourself of where you're at right now. And identify the actual growth pattern, because you're not the same person you were 6 months ago. I promise you. Unless you deliberately sabotaged yourself, you are not the same person. Second thing is appreciate others. Appreciate others. And finally, appreciate the journey. Things are not always going to be this way. If they're good, great. It is your job to continue to build on that. If things are not so good, deals are falling through, it's okay. There's lessons to be learned. There's skin to build thickness on, right? Thick skin. There's capacity to build. The skill sets you're learning through this painful moment are going to help you later on in life. Like the scars on my body. That was a conversation that came up. My daughter's like, Dad, you have so many scars. She just got 17 stitches on her leg, so she's noticing everything about me. She's pointing out a new scar every single day. Those scars built me. They made me strong. I won't stop. And I feel like nothing can stop me. And now I'm on a great foundation because of the influence my dad had on me. So as we start thinking about that, how are you influencing your kids? How are those around you influencing you? Let's identify what makes you feel good so you can keep growing. All right, what are you guys hearing with this conversation? Let's see, I got Jermaine. With me and my wife, I am controlling at times and have a sense of obligation that I need to check, and then I go back to the sense of gratitude, but only after I move out of the obligation space. I think we all can get into that place, right? Being controlling. That was a characteristic that I saw my mom. She was just in control. And sometimes when we're so much in control, we don't allow other people to really flourish in their space. And when they do, we blame because it wasn't done the way we wanted it. And I saw that going back and forth for many years. And I mimicked that in my own relationships. Right? I mimicked that with my own marriage. Wanting, certain things. And then when it was finally done, it wasn't done my way. So either way, it was wrong. How many times have we done that, right? And that's why we have to go back to the virtues that really count. Can we have that patience? That's what a true leader is. Can you really have patience for the other person? Can you have patience for your mortgage officer, loan officer? Can you have patience for the title person and lead them into the right direction? Can you have patience for your clients? For your kids? I mean, think about all that. So again, let's start appreciating ourselves. Let's appreciate others and appreciate the journey you're on, because you are not the same person you were 6 months ago. And that's the beauty of it all. And here's the thing. These small steps that you're taking are going to pay its dividends in a massive way. In a massive way. Just give yourself some time here. You're on a trajectory that I don't think you realize you're on. Some of you are overcoming these stories of why you can't and actually doing it. Some of you have quit a job that you never thought you could quit. Some of you are building on what you thought was your best year ever, only to realize you're more than halfway there on the new year. These are the things that really count. And Jermaine, you said patience. Word of the day. Not react. But what did that look like? And how can that help the overall growth of your business? When you're in a good place, I promise you, there's no way you can't grow your business. Take that as a compliment. Like, I know how to handle that now. When somebody says I'm a patient man, I'm like, thank you. It doesn't floor me anymore. Because I've created that space to be able to handle things. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Mindset Mastery. I think we all have work to do today, but it starts with you. Let's appreciate where you're at right now. Don't be so hard on yourself. Quit comparing yourself. And somebody needs to hear from you so you can tell them how much they've impacted you, not just on a specific day, every day. And look at this journey and say, I can only imagine where I'll be in 2 years. I can only imagine what my business is going to look like in 5 years. Because it's going to be more than you ever anticipated if you're on this trajectory. I promise you, I never thought I could be here right now, where my life actually works. It actually works. My marriage actually works. My business works. My body functions for me. I didn't know that was a possibility. But I couldn't see that 5 years ago. And right now, your life is going to be something you can't see right now. And all I'm asking you is to trust the process and just follow these simple steps. Appreciate yourself, appreciate others, and love the journey you're on. Guys, I want to thank you again for joining me for another episode of Mindset Mastery. Have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye now.